Good day, students. My name is Teacher Anne, and today we're going to learn about science. Yes, you heard me, it's science. And this is going to be an interesting and fun lesson that you will surely want to watch and listen. Let's start. When we talk about science, the topic that come to our mind are about solar system, earth, ecosystem, and human body, which are very important to learn about. These are all connected as to why we exist and survive. Now, being alive and be able to do things is something that we are looking forward every day, right? And by doing these things around us, our body creates movements. Like, for example, carrying toy boxes or even pushing heavy boxes to the direction of different corner of the house. These movements release energy because we apply force to move these objects. What is energy? Energy is the ability to do work, and force is defined as push and pull of an object with mass causes it to change the velocity. Velocity is the rate and direction of an object movement. These are all associated with work. Work is defined as the force acting on an object in the direction of motion. Do you know the formula for work? It's here. The formula for work done is force multiplied by the distance. Now, let's watch this video. This video is an example of how you apply force on an object. This is hard to do because there's a certain limit of how much force you can apply on a particular task. Do you have any idea how to make this work easier? By using simple machine. Yes, you are correct. And this is the topic that we are going to discuss for today, simple machines. Simple machines are devices that have few moving parts and use energy to work. Although it may appear to be simply, but these are beneficial for providing people to do many things. Have you wondered how bicycles, cars, or even computer chairs are invented? These are all the combinations of simple machines, or we should say compound machines. When we talk about machines, these are the tools that make the work easier and need transferring of force from one object to another, where the magnitude of force, distance, and speed increase. An important concept of simple machine is mechanical advantage. What is mechanical advantage? Mechanical advantage is the use of less force to move an object in a longer distance. So let's say the mechanical advantage of simple machine is 3. Then the work is 3 times easier. Are you ready to find out how? I will give you an example of simple machines. Number 1 is lever. Lever is a rigid rod or bar used to move heavy or firmly fixed load with one end when pressure is applied to the other. Archimedes, who is a Greek mathematician, is the one who discovered the physical principles of a lever. As you can see on the picture, it is supported by the fulcrum, and the weight that is lifted by a lever is called load. The upward force to lift the weight that is carried by a lever is called effort. There are some parts of human body that can also be called lever. Let's find out some example in the 3 classes of lever. The first class of lever, which is here, the fulcrum lies between the load and the effort. Some examples are seesaw, and the upper part of human body. In second class of lever, the load is between fulcrum, which is found at one end, and the applied force at the other end. Some examples are wheelbarrows, nutcracker, and the lower part of the human body. In the third class of a lever, the fulcrum is found situated before or in front of the applied force. Examples are tongs, fishing rods, and the arm part of the human body. In getting the mechanical advantage for a lever is, mechanical advantage is force applied to B divided by the force applied to A. Let's proceed to another example of simple machine. How about this? Wheel and axle. Are you familiar with this? Can you give me something that you think it has wheel and axle part? Yes, you're right. You can say this to bicycle and car. So you see, fancy bicycles and cars would never be happen if wheel and axle are not invented. Let's think another example of wheel and axle. How about this? A well. Do you know how it functions? Do you see the wheel and axle parts? Let's watch this video. Can you imagine fetching water from the well without wheel and axle? It's going to be so hard, and it will take us a long day just to get a pail of water. Can you think another example of wheel and axle? How about this? A screwdriver. Why? I cannot see the wheel. Well, screwdriver is another example of wheel and axle. The metal bar of the screwdriver is the axle, and the handle acts as the wheel. You use this for turning the screw, and you apply force on the wheel, which is the handle, when you turn the screw. How about this? Can you guess which object in this picture has a part of wheel and axle? If you say doorknob, then you are correct. Opening the door without the knob would be difficult. But why the doorknob is an example of wheel and axle? As you see, the wheel is the knob and the axle would be the shaft where the knob is connected. And again, the force is applied to the wheel when you turn the knob. Computing the mechanical advantage for wheel and axle can be found for taking the radius of the wheel over the radius of the axle. Here is the equation for wheel and axle. The larger the mechanical advantage of the machine, the greater the force of the machine can output. So that means the effort that is applied to these objects creates multiple forces. The third example of simple machine is a pulley. Can you spot a pulley in this picture? It's here. Very good. A pulley is a wheel that carries flexible rope, chain, cord, cable, or belt on its rim. A groove rim is called sheave. Let's watch this video to know more about pulley. So you see, pulleys are generally used to lift objects, especially heavy objects. They are in singly used or in combination to conduct energy and motion. There are three types of pulleys. The first one is the single fixed pulley, where the forces exerted here does not multiply. The second one is the movable pulley, and the third one is the combination of movable and singly fixed pulley, which is the compound pulleys. The forces exerted here multiplies. This is the equation to compute the mechanical advantage for the pulley. Mechanical advantage is the load divided by the effort. So let's say the load is 800 kilogram and the effort produced is 400 kilogram. Then the mechanical advantage is 2. Remember that the more compound the pulleys are, the easier the load to lift. So the mechanical advantage of one pulley is 1 and the mechanical advantage of 2 pulleys is 2. Now let's move on to the fourth example of simple machine, which is an inclined plane, or also known as a ramp. It consists of sloping surface used for raising heavy objects. Moving an object on an inclined plane requires less force than lifting it straight up at the cost of the greater distance traveled. This is one of the most useful machine ever invented and mostly used for construction site. To compute the mechanical advantage for the inclined plane, mechanical advantage is the length of the slope divided by the height of the slope. And this is the formula. Do you know that the screw is considered an inclined plane? Yes, it is. The spiral threads of the screw that wrap around its cylinder act like an inclined plane. Look at this. It is formed when this inclined plane wrap around a straight rod-like structure. As these threads of the screw turn, they exerted output force. Screws are very important, and these are used to hold things together, like to cabinets, chairs, tables, and many more. It gains mechanical advantage when it's rotated. Our last and fifth examples of simple machine is a wedge. Can you tell me the wedge in this picture? If you point out the triangular tool that penetrated the wood, then you are correct. Wedge is used to cut or split objects. It is the force that causes this object to split. Here are some examples of the wedge: nails, axe, and knives. The wedge is not flat, but pointed. The mechanical advantage for the wedge cannot be computed because the force applied to it is steady or intermittent, meaning it applied a series of blows. So you see, these simple machines are made with the intention of reducing the amount of force and effort needed to complete a simple task. People can easily solve challenging daily tasks using simple machines. Now you know all the types of simple machine and their uses. Make sure that you have adult supervision when you use this simple machine to perform a task. Safety precaution is important to prevent unnecessary injury. Okay, class, this is the end of our lesson. I hope you discover more information about the topics we covered today. Never forget, science is a blessing, so we should not stop learning.